Hey everyone, welcome to NABJ Behind The Scenes. I'm Jaden Jones.
I'm Sinta Halilu.
And we're going to give you our monthly podcast, just coming at you with all the latest news and also giving you a piece of our personal lives.
So I think it's only fair for us to kind of really introduce ourselves, who we are. So obviously we stated our name, but considering this is your senior year, This is my junior year.
Definitely.
How do you feel? How's classes? How's your schedule going?
I would say senior year so far has been great. Now, I'm someone who transferred in, so I have an extra semester, but for it to be senior year, I definitely can feel the stakes being a bit higher. I currently have 6 classes, so it's a lot. It's a lot to have to go to 6 classes, whether it's a lab, whether it's some journalism classes. There's definitely a lot going on, but I'm enjoying it. I think that it's definitely big to enjoy my last full year and at least enjoy my experience. But with that, I think that it's a great opportunity. And once again, being an NABJ, having these opportunities, whether it's student org or work, just experiencing that and enjoying that. Because once college is gone, it's gone. But what about you? How is fall semester for you going for your 3rd year?
Ooh, honestly, for my 3rd year, I feel like nothing beats my sophomore year. I don't know what happened that semester, but I feel like the adjustment period from being a freshman to being a sophomore was definitely more difficult for me. I think it's also because I really started like my core classes within journalism. So it wasn't just like, regular like general ed stuff, but I'm doing okay. I'm typically a 12-hour credit girly. I can't even lie. And I'm taking 15 credit hours and I can definitely feel it.
Really?
I know nothing beats like 18, which I could never do. Personally.
I can't lie, I did like 16 my freshman year, which
I did
was
16 too, so I don't even know what is going on, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling, the pressure. But again, nothing beats my sophomore year. But I know we're both obviously studying journalism, hence NABJ, but I know we kind of want to go into 2 specific fields because I want to be an investigative journalist.
Interesting.
And with you,
I want to kind of work in social media, so kind of using journalism, kind of like interviewing people and stuff, but a completely different sector from investigative journalism. That's completely different.
Yeah, I feel like
Completely.
I kind of landed on that because like 2020, at least from, well, obviously the whole world, COVID, the presidential election, a lot was happening, and I felt a need to kind of post that like on my social media. That's kind of like what pushed me into like reporting, but specifically with investigative journalism, I mean, I guess I've always just been nosy.
Really? So
I guess to a certain
just you being nosy, you looking at stuff and you were like, you know what? I like to investigate. I like to do this type of stuff. And you said, oh, let me look it up. And you saw that it's considered investigative journalism. That makes sense, though.
To a certain extent, because I want to be like a documentarian. That's like my ultimate goal of like how I want to, I guess, cover like news stories and stuff like that. Yeah. So like I've always just loved watching documentaries, and I feel like the best ones are the ones that like cover like the big stake like cases. Yeah. So whether that be like a health scare like within a town, or like uncovering a lot of a lot of like corruption like within politics or stuff like that. Like to me, that just always interested me. So I feel like that, and I guess me being nosy, I guess both of them kind of came together. But that's how I landed on what I wanted to do. But what about you, Jaden?
What about me? So I'm someone who, growing up, I really wanted to be a sports broadcaster. I was so into sports broadcasting that I went to different camps. I went to everything related to sports broadcasting. And so for me, that was always my thing, whether it was from the age I was 5, like I was always watching football games. And I was like, you know what? I want to be on TV. I want to be the one who's commentating that stuff. And that's still something that's still a dream to me. But in a sense, when it came to the job world, I was like, I got to find something. I want to say it was my freshman year of college. And I was like, let me just try and find an opportunity. And for opportunities in terms of journalism and broadcasting in that case, you really have to work for a local broadcasting station, which requires working and kind of shadowing. And to me, that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I want to be on TV. I want to work for someone like ESPN. At least I wanted to. And that just really wasn't it. So I kind of pivoted, and I was like, you know what? Let me take my talents. I've done stuff on YouTube. I've done stuff with social media. Let me just kind of pivot my interest to social media. So I kind of started working as like a social media intern, and I loved it. And so kind of from there, it's just been social media. I've kind of worked in different sectors, whether it's been social media just in terms of posting this stuff or developing the content or producing the content. I've kind of done it all at this point. and I really enjoy it. So to kind of go from broadcasting, so that is a different sector than investigative journalism, completely different things. But I truly enjoy my path. I enjoy what I've done, and I'm looking forward to what I got left. I know I still have stuff. I'm in the sports media certificate here at UGA, so I'm still trying to at least expand and explore that. But just to kind of go from where I was and then kind of build off of that and still keep the same interest, but also pivot, it was great to me. Now, in terms of investigative journalism, what have you done so far in terms of like building your resume with it? Have you done anything yet, or are you just still kind of like working on building that portfolio?
Definitely still working, but I will say one of the most, I guess, impactful stories that I've covered so far, it was during my reporting one class. We were basically assigned like our own pitch, and it was like this big like project, and it was like a competition between like all of the reporting one classes, so it was kind of like really high stakes. But we landed on covering well water contamination that was happening in a poor like neighborhood in Athens. And for a long time, like these residents, and they were predominantly Black, they were drinking contaminated water that had links to like infertility and like cancer and a lot of stuff like that. So for decades, they were like completely ignored. Whenever they would try and bring up like what was happening, reports came back negative because at the time they didn't have like the proper testing to figure out the particular chemicals that they were drinking. So like it wasn't until like 2024 where I guess you could say they finally got justice. And at that point, it's really sad because the damage was already done. But I feel like kind of like covering a follow-up story on that, like that really did like solidify to me that like this was what like I wanted to do. Definitely. Like I've always considered myself to be an advocate for the truth. My family loves to call me like the advocate of the family. Like I'm always the one, I guess, bringing up things like concerning like politics or bringing up things about like protesting, things like that. But I feel like for the most part, a lot of the time, the truth just isn't uncovered the way that it needs to be. There's always some bias behind it, or like simply it's just not brought to light because people, for the most part, just don't really care. But I'd say that, for the most part, was something really, really big for me, at least within my career as a journalist here at Grady.
Drove you to get to where you are, because you already had the interest, but that kind of just continued to spark it.
Like I said, it kind of like solidified that this was what I wanted to do.
Definitely. So now for you, why UGA?
Why UGA?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I actually didn't want to come to UGA.
At all?
No. I wanted to go to school out of state. But I mean, it's just really expensive, to be frank.
It is.
And my sister goes here, so my parents really, really wanted me to go here. And I mean, looking at all the schools I got accepted to in Georgia, this was just, I guess you could say, the best fit for me. They had a really good journalism program, and I can attest to it. I've definitely learned so much here. And then like I had a scholarship, so like that worked out and everything. But I was like a UGA hater. I can't even lie. My freshman year, but
like a full-on hater, like you just
honestly,
really
honestly. But I mean, I've been here since, so it didn't turn out too bad. I've definitely made a lot of friends, and I feel like for me, the reason why I really wanted to go out of state is because I wanted to feel like a certain level of independence that I thought like I couldn't really feel in like an in-state school. And then like I also really just wanted to go to California. That kind of still is my goal.
I had the same itch. I kind of toured Pepperdine. I toured USC. I was like, Cali's amazing. And it was, but one, it's expensive, and two, it's just tough. It's tough to get out there.
Still is my goal. I really do want to work in a big city. I think I'm leaning more towards like Washington, D.C.
See, that's where I was before. I know,
American University. Oh, I don't know if we should shout them out, but
let's keep them on the low. But I was definitely an American. It was definitely an experience. I learned a lot. And I mean, D.C. to me is a great place to be. Now, American wasn't it for me, but D.C. is a vibe. There's so much stuff there. The culture there is real. I know you're into politics. That's the perfect place to do politics and at least learn about politics. So, and then just kind of just to position some stuff before we get into the real news. How are classes going for you in terms of midterms? We kind of discussed it briefly, but are midterms going good for you? Like, how is that going?
Oof. I had like 4 things to do like in 1 week. Like I had like
Oh,
3
man.
tests to study for, and then I
Okay.
had like a story that I was supposed to write.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that's like the most stressed I've been in a long time. And what really sucks is that the majority of my classes, like, they're not really like homework heavy, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like, I'm not like going home and like studying for something like every day.
Yeah.
But like, all of them, for some reason, like the tests specifically are scheduled during the exact same time. And
Really.
they're only like big projects or tests to kind of like fulfill like the grade requirement for the class. So like other than like attendance and participation, like that test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, like that's essentially your whole grade.
Oh my. That's
So
awful.
I know, like for like the whole week I was just like studying, and it was like 3 different things. So I feel like I hit the nail on 3 out of 4.
Which is good. I mean, 75%. You know, we take that. We
There's
take
one
75%. We
test that
100%
I
take
am,
75%.
oh my God, I am very nervous for. I think I get the grade back tomorrow as we're
Okay.
filming this.
Okay.
So, if I come back to this podcast and I'm still doing 15 credit hours, then you know that I passed. And if I'm down to 12, then I withdraw. Like, definitely withdrew, but
That's big stakes right there. That's
yeah,
massive stakes.
very, very,
A lot of
but
the line for sure.
what about you?
What about me? See, you make midterms sound so crazy. So in past years, midterms would have killed me. But this year, I only have one midterm. It's not even really a midterm. It's in my reporting class. And all we really have to do is kind of record 2 different reels. We have to edit a news story that we had, and we have some other thing. But to go from 4 exams, basically, or 4 things that you have, to nothing on my part, it's a big difference, and I'm enjoying not having midterms. Now, for me, I don't really take tests anymore because of my classes,
Yeah.
just the journalism stuff I have. But I do pray for the people just like you who are going through this, because that is real. That's a real struggle, and I don't want to go through that at all.
I mean, the next big thing is finals. I feel
Yeah.
like I realized that I really have to study like weeks in advance. Like I can't,
Yeah.
because I like did like a week and a half. Like that's
Mhm.
typically how long it'll take me to like study for like a big test. But because I had like 3 that fell like basically like within the same week,
Yeah.
I need like a week each for each. Like it was
Wow.
just wow. It was really a lot, but I digress. Basically, we're obviously students. We're getting ready to be reporters out in the real world.
Mhm.
But I feel like it's kind of a scary time to be a journalist because we're kind of hearing about like free speech and journalist rights in general kind of getting like revoked, at least within America. Because even yesterday, like literally as we're filming this, a lot of journalists, and in terms of like their access to the Pentagon, like they handed away like their press passes because they didn't want to sign new rules laid out by the Secretary of Defense. And even with the rules laid out, a lot of them, at least to some journalists, just seemed very restrictive. Like you kind of couldn't ask general public questions, or at least those that kind of invoked public concern. And if you did, like you had the possibility of getting your credentials revoked as a journalist. So kind of like that public interest part of being a journalist and being like a watchdog for the country. I mean, we have reporters like fearing to even ask basic questions. And I feel like for me, like it kind of brings up concern because what am I going to do?
Exactly. That's kind of what I want to do. And if I can't actually ask my questions or at least do it without being penalized, then why am I even here?
And it's like really big publications like the New York Times, Fox News, NBC. They feared to ask questions. And I feel like within America, we're kind of like big free speech people, or we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So the fact that journalists are concerned to even ask basic questions, I mean, I feel like it kind of brings up concern for a lot of people. It definitely brings up concern for me. And even looking back at the Jimmy Kimmel situation, I mean, his whole show got like canceled. I mean, it's back now, but
Yeah.
that's not a guarantee. And I feel like for the most part, if public outrage wasn't so prominent and it wasn't so big, I don't know if he would have gotten his show back. What do you think?
I think just to go over your first point, just in terms of the stuff that's come from Pete Hegseth, and he's obviously the U.S. Defense Secretary, and the stuff that he's at least trying to pass through with these reporters. And the reporters are obviously saying no because the stuff they're asking these reporters to do isn't right. I was reading an article earlier from PBS where it was talking about how before journalists could attend press readings. They could meet with officials, they could talk with sources, and they could do all this and not be penalized. But now they're doing this stuff. They're unprotected. They can be seen. It can be seen as at least violating the law, and it's just not fair. So for these journalists to at least stand up, obviously, like you said, big publications, people at Fox, people at PBS, it's necessary. I think there needs to be something that at least it changes. And for Jimmy Kimmel, the fact that his free rights and the First Amendment stuff, the stuff that he said about Charlie Kirk, wasn't really out of the question. I think he didn't say anything too crazy, but with what he said, that obviously sparked some concern. People on that side really didn't like what he said, and so with that, I think it just shows you that, at least with the current state of the government and just all this, the way this stuff is going, maybe with the president as well, really, you can't say what you truly want to say, and it's unfortunate. And as a journalist, as someone who's trying to get into the space, it's tough to at least expand and at least do your job if you're going to be penalized, if you're going to be kind of caught against the rules, or in this case, even going against some stuff and getting yourself in trouble. So I think it's tough to at least go against that and still do your job. And especially as journalists, and at least when we're trying to get into this spot, it's tough to understand what we really can do, because they're teaching us this stuff. A lot of stuff they're teaching us really doesn't work in the real world right now, which just really sucks.
And it brings a lot of question as to how I guess you view the whole situation that happened with Charlie Kirk, which we're not really going to get that much into.
Definitely not.
But the fact that people were just saying that he needs to kind of get canceled because what he said was insensitive is a bit crazy to me. One, because I feel like I've heard crazier stuff said on live television. And two, when have we ever been a country where people aren't allowed to say what they want to say just because, I guess to a certain extent, it's viewed as insensitive or people are essentially going to get offended by it? Now, I believe that there is such thing as hate speech. I kind of hate when people are like, hate speech is just free speech. I feel like you can say a lot of hateful things with your words. Yeah. But I mean, even looking at like SNL, for example, like they make fun of politics all the time. Like during the presidential election, like there was like an episode like almost every week of either someone like impersonating Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, like things like that. I just feel like aren't out of the ordinary.
Definitely.
And I feel like we're kind of leaning from like the free speech, hate speech to essentially just having no speech.
Yeah. I think that what Jimmy Kimmel said wasn't all too crazy. We definitely heard crazy things on SNL. We've heard crazy things on so many different publications. So the fact that he was punished and some people thought he'd be terminated is crazy to me. I think that, like you're saying, the bigger picture is it's not just really the Jimmy Kimmel situation or even the situation with the Pentagon. It's just the fact that you really can't say much. Yeah. You obviously have to check to make sure, okay, like, can I even say this? If I say this, will someone try to go after my family? Because people take stuff so serious. And with social media obviously happening as well, the amount of stuff that you can say is just kind of dwindling. Because Jimmy Kimmel, who's someone on a talk show, he's been there for over 10 years. He has these credentials, and he was taken down. That means that as an up-and-coming journalist, you could be taken down too, which it's just kind of tough to try and build your career off of.
I mean, look at the Colbert Show. Like, his show, as of now, is canceled. Or at least it's going to be canceled, yeah. It's kind of just, I don't know. It's really, really crazy. And we were having a discussion about this in my journalism class, but I feel like a lot of people don't take into consideration just how important not only free speech is, but like just being a journalist is, because although people can argue whether journalism is a dying sector, I feel like the way we consume news, I feel like is kind of,
whether it's true journalism, whether it's someone posting on social media, that's still considered journalism.
And like the way that we consume news, like obviously, I guess like reading a paper versus watching television, like I feel like print in a sense is kind of dying. No shade to all the print, the print lovers, the print readers, but journalism itself, AJC lovers, but journalism itself, I feel like will never go out of style because news is happening every day and people are looking for people to report on that news. And now we have like social media influencers in a sense, kind of taking on that role as, I guess you could say, like journalists and reporting on like certain topics and stuff. But I feel like that it can also be kind of dangerous because
Yeah.
a lot of the time what people don't like to do is fact check their information. And as journalists, that's kind of like the basis of what we're taught in our career. Like everything needs to be factual, and obviously like mistakes happen, but I feel like for the most part, like reporting facts is a staple.
Yeah.
And on social media, like it's like kind of like hearsay. Like someone saying, "Oh, I saw this video on TikTok from this creator," and then somebody else is like saying the same thing. It's almost like a game of telephone, to the point where like a lot of information at this point is being like misconstrued. And because a lot of people are like leaning on social media to kind of get their news, it's like a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
And then when we look at, actual reporters and their free speech in a way kind of being limited, ugh, it just raises like concern of how are we actually going to get factual news? How are we actually going to get good, honest reporting? At least again in America, because that's where we are. But
I think that it's crazy that we've heard situations here at UGA where there was actually a student who we heard about who actually like dealt with some stuff, and we're just trying to at least build the best program possible. And they've said, okay, we've had mistakes in the past, but they're just trying to get us to become the best journalists. And so, like you said, they kind of ensure that we're at least fact checking stuff, that we're doing the right stuff, that when we go through, we're trying to learn the basics. And with social media, it just kind of goes past all the basics. Anyone could boot up a podcast, anyone can post stuff on social media, and that kind of just changes the whole thing of credibility because anybody can do it. And so with that, I think that situation is tough. In these situations with the Pentagon especially, like, what would you do in that situation? Are you going to go through? Are you going to give your pass up? Because that's your job. As a journalist, that's your job. That is your credit. And say you're someone who at least goes to the Pentagon and does this political stuff, you're giving up your job. So I think it is tough, but it's just kind of asking people to risk their jobs, which is a tough ask for anybody, especially journalists who have to fight for everything, have to fight for every story, have to fight to at least get stuff out. We've learned about malinformation, we've learned about misinformation, we learned about disinformation, and that stuff is on the rise. And so it's just how can we, in a sense, go against that stuff, still push the good stuff about journalism that we're learning, and just trying to make sure that journalism stays a profession. Because people are trying to get rid of that. Anybody can do anything. And just how do you think we can at least counteract that in a sense?
obviously, like it starts with good, honest reporting. But I feel like as consumers, I'm a journalist and I listen, I watch, I read. I feel like as consumers, it's just so important to ensure that you're actually getting your information from a reliable source. Because when we give the attention to those publications or the people who are actually doing good, honest reporting, I feel like it kind of limits all of the other bad publications and bad names within journalism because we're kind of focusing on the right and factual stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a consumer, just ensure, that you're just getting your information somewhere that's reliable. And obviously, we all have a bias. There's no journalist in existence that doesn't have a bias. So I don't think it's bad in a sense to kind of listen to people who share the same opinion as you. But I also feel like it's important to get well-rounded information. I mean, if you're on one side of the political spectrum and you're only consuming news from that side, I feel like a lot of the times you can kind of get stuck in a bubble.
Yeah.
And because you're in a bubble, your perception of what's actually happening can be warped. And that goes for any side of like the political spectrum. Mm-hmm. But just, I feel like what we need to do, like I said, is just kind of like start with the consumers and just give our attention to those reliable sources. Because I feel like it'll just limit out all of like the bad and negative stuff to a certain extent. But other than that, I don't really know what other solution there could be.
There's not that many. I think that politics is actually kind of grayed the line because politics, everybody is obviously interested in it. And with that, you can post whatever you want. And even with some of these corporations, I was actually learning about this in class recently, where the MLS is separate from politics, but this is a sports thing. Obviously, it's a soccer. They're actually putting AI articles out there. So there's now not just misinformation, but there's actually AI articles where at least it showed that it was AI, but it's AI. And so the fact that we already have people who are trying to go against the system, and now we have AI going against the system. And even today I learned in class that ChatGPT is now going to, in a sense, be expanded and have more access. If AI is actually on the rise as well, then that just kind of damages stuff more. So I think, like you're saying, it's important to at least understand what you're hearing, and also to research it. That's obviously tough when you're scrolling through and at least seeing stuff. You don't want to maybe look stuff up every single time, but it is important to, at least for major facts, maybe stuff that you're going to at least spread to people that you know, friends and family, to at least make sure that you're saying the right thing, because if you're not, obviously you can still spread that, but that just causes a chain reaction, which is not what we want. We want to spread good, positive journalism, good, positive news. And to do that, you got to at least fact check, which is really, really important.
And you know what? I've been fooled. As a journalist
Fooled with
myself, I was on social media and I came across this video. Oh, do you guys remember like the Coldplay incident where, yes, the
Where
affair,
the
the
CEO
CEO?
his
Yes.
coworker,
And I
his
remember
assistant.
there were like people kind of like reporting on his apology letter that he released. And like it turns out that like that didn't happen. Like he didn't even write the letter himself. And although like I didn't go around being like, "Oh my God, guys, like look at this," like I had no reason not to believe that that was true. And it wasn't until like I kind of did my own research where I was like, "Oh my God, like he didn't even write this, or he didn't even put this out."
No.
So, I mean, anyone can really be fooled. And I feel like with AI, and I feel like with a lot of persuasive influencers, like it's really not that hard to be fooled. So, like you said, I know like nobody wants to like listen to a video and then like check like 5 different articles to ensure that
Definitely
it's
not.
accurate.
No.
But I feel like at the very least, if you're going to post about it, if you're going to try and be a source of information and, you know, kind of educate others about, you know, the topic, then you have to at least ensure that it's accurate. Because you don't want to post something that doesn't exist. You don't want to tell your friends about something that didn't actually happen. And then you don't want to be a source of misinformation when you're trying to be a source of factual information. So, yeah, I feel like that kind of wraps up our discussion. But yeah, I feel like the biggest takeaway is kind of like just try and ensure that you're at least, you know, getting your source somewhere reliable, okay? I know we all love TikTok, we all love Instagram, okay? We all just be scrolling, but it really is important, you know, nowadays. And although we definitely do have fears when it comes to free speech, I personally feel that journalism will never go out of style.
You think so?
So I don't. We all look to someone to kind of get our information, whether that be like a website article or actually someone reporting, you know, on like a broadcast television station. Like we all rely on news, and something's happening every day. So this is very important.
The news we see is correct and is right, and you got to make sure that the news that we're consuming isn't the bad type of stuff that we don't want to see.
But I guess the big question is, do you still want to be a journalist?
Absolutely. Now, I'm not in the same capacity that you do, but absolutely. I think I love journalism. I love being in this profession, and I could still want to be a part of this, whether it's something that's going to be tough with depending on the situation, anything like that. I think that it's tough to at least go through. It's worth fighting that risk and still going through and just being a part of the profession.
No, for sure. I would hope after this conversation we wouldn't be like, journalism.
So. 30 minutes
later,
later,
we're done.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm dropping out.
Yeah, we're hoping to deliver podcasts to you guys at least once a month. So this is definitely, you know, kind of just the start of a lot of big plans we have. This is going to occur for the whole school year. It's not just the fall semester, but the spring semester as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you engage with us. Follow us on our Instagram at UGA NABJ.
Yeah, UGA NABJ. And like she was saying, we have more stuff coming soon. We're going to have some other e-board members on here.
Yes.
We hopefully can have some other guest speakers. That's the goal.
For sure.
We'll see how that goes, but we're going to try and have as many people on the podcast as possible. And it's a full year thing. So please tune in. Please tune in to the Instagram. Please tune in to the YouTube, which will also be linked somewhere. It should be UGA NABJ as well. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Yes, episode 1 done. Yay! All right, see y'all next time.
Bye.